guys, and welcome to our first episode of 30-Minute Theology. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why only 30 minutes? Well, it's because my wife would only give me 30 and she wouldn't give me 60. No, that's not true. I'm just absolutely kidding. So the premise of 30-Minute Theology is to give you some good information in a short frame of time. So let's just kind of talk about what we're going to look at doing, what we plan to do with our time together. So I just want to kind of give you some background information. First, my name's Darren Bracey, as you can see on the screen. I am currently a senior at Veritas Baptist College, which is based out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, as a part of Faith Baptist Church. Wonderful program. This is actually my senior year. I've got about a little more than 30 credits left to go. Probably be a summer graduation, but that's okay. There's some extra stuff I'd like to take, so it's going to be great. So just give you a little bit of my background and where I am now, currently with my education. So let's talk about what 30-minute theology is all about. So first off, let's just cover this from right at the beginning. Nothing you're going to hear here is going to be anything new. It's not going to be anything that's mind-blowingly, all of a sudden Darren came up with this great new stuff. Oh my gosh, it's just no. Nothing like that. It's really nothing new. I've actually learned a lot of stuff from a lot of folks, and I want to share it with you. And I want to share it with you in a very condensed and compact way, so that you can hopefully understand. For some of you who don't know my background, I for 15 years was a high school wrestling and football coach. And so one of the key terms you learn as a coach is what we call the KISS method. And the KISS method is pretty simple. It's keep it simple, stupid. As in the stupid is me. Don't get complicated. Don't make it so hard that folks can't understand, don't know what you're talking about. So we're going to do the same thing here with our theology. We're going to keep it simple, and we're, because stupid here needs to keep it that way. So that's going to be the most critical part. So this is going to be theology, short, simple, and to the point. We're not going to ramble on with big terminology. We're not going to use humongous words. It's just not something we're going to do. We're going to keep it short, simple, and to the point. So I'm hoping that will be helpful. And of course, our guarantee here at 30-Minute Theology is that it's 30 minutes or it's free. Oh, my wife's making a lovely face. She wasn't in here to hear my other part about her, which is good because now she's in the room. Say hi, Stace.
Hey.
There you go. I got an audience. It's awesome. So what are we about? Well, what we're about is that there's a need to give Christians a stronger foundation in their faith. There is a definite lacking in our churches today in good biblical teaching. We don't teach the Bible. We don't teach theology. We don't teach doctrine. We teach fluff and stuff. Because it's easy and it's not hard and it's not challenging. But Christians need good, strong, foundational biblical principles. And that's something we're going to hope that we give you here. Theology and doctrine are seen as complex, and this is why people avoid them. They don't want to have anything to do with doctrine and theology. It's hard. That's the perception. It's too hard. It's too hard. I don't want to get that deep. I just want to come to Sunday school. I want to come to church. I want to feel good about it, and then I want to move on. But the problem with that is that when you don't have a foundational base, things come along, they're easy to pull you away. So we're going to work on giving you that good, that foundational base without trying to scare you off with the big terms and doctrines and things. We're gonna make it simple here. We're gonna help believers understand their faith that they profess and equip them to share with others, because that's what we're told to do. Matthew 28, 19 and 20. We all know those. Go, 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 go. It does not mean sit in your pew, and do nothing, or sit in your nice comfy chair, because new churches don't have pews. What's wrong with you people? There's the pews. You need a pew. You can't sleep in a chair, people. I'm rambling. Anyway, we have to go. We have to get out. We have to go and share the gospel. But for you to be comfortable to share the gospel, you need to know that faith that you profess. You need to know that good biblical background so that you are equipped to be able to go out and do these things. And that's what we're going to hopefully do for you here. We really want to equip you and give you that strength and that base. So what aren't we going to do? There are some things we are not going to do. Just not going to do. And I want to make this clear, because there are plenty of places you can go throughout the internet, YouTube, everywhere, to do certain things that are on theology and Christian faith. But here's some things we're not going to do. One, we're not going to argue about the existence of God. Okay? We're not, because he exists. So I'm not going to waste time and effort and energy trying to debate those subjects. I'm not saying that those subjects are not worthy of debate and discussing. They are, but not here. Like I said, there are plenty of folks out there, and I'll be glad to post some of those links if that's what you want. You just email me and ask me and say, hey, Darren, I want some information on how to, speak to people, who claim God doesn't exist. My first response to you would be Romans 1. Just read Romans 1 to them. Professing themselves to wise, they are fools. So we're not going to argue about the existence of God. He exists, period, end of discussion. We're not going to argue about the existence of Jesus. He exists, period, end of discussion. Even if you just look at Jesus as a historical figure, Jesus exists. There is not a credible scholar out there today that's going to argue that Jesus did not exist. Even the biggest what I would call biblical scholar atheist, which would be Bart Ehrman, will tell you that Jesus existed. He was a man. He was here. He was on the earth. So to argue whether Jesus existed or not is a waste of time. We're not going to mess with it. Jesus existed, period, end of discussion. We're not going to argue about non-doctrinal issues. So what do I mean by non-doctrinal issues? Well, these are things we call disputable matters. So these are issues that we can have disagreement on, but they don't really affect our salvation. These such things would be like if you baptize babies, if you believe in tongues, if you believe in healing, if you believe in sprinkling baptism, if you bring immersion baptism. There's lots of disputable things. Limited atonement, unlimited atonement, these kind of things. And I know I'm getting technical, but we're not going to argue those points. Are we going to inform you about those points? Absolutely. Are we going to discuss those points? Yes, we are. But we're not going to argue about them. And there, like I said, there are plenty of other folks that you can go out to and see these discussions. And like I said, if you were like, hey, Darren, I really want some information on, Calvinism. I want some information on, speaking in tongues. I want some information on baptism. Plenty of sources out there. Be glad to send to you. Guess what? 30-minute theology is not your place. We're not going to do that stuff. Just not what I want to do. I just don't think it's helpful. We're going to discuss them and we're going to bring them up, but we're not going to argue with them. I'm not going to do a point, counterpoint. I'm not going to have someone. I don't do debates. So there ain't going to be, Darren debating, the Pentecostal guy or Presbyterian guy. That's just not going to happen. I have friends and throughout all of them, there's no debate. I'm not going to debate those issues. So what's coming up? So we have pretty much a set of things for the next 6 weeks that we're going to cover. If you guys have been in my classes before, this is some stuff that you've seen. For a lot of y'all, this is going to be brand new. But even if you've seen it before, making some little twists and some little changes, adding some things. So hopefully you'll still get something out of it. So our first week is we're going to basically talk about why you're a Christian. Not how you became a Christian, but why you are a Christian, because that's a critical question that most Christians cannot answer. They cannot say why they are a Christian, because that's what the non-believer is going to ask you. He's not going to ask you how you became one, because he's going to assume that's because you're family. I've been a Christian all my life. Well, that's why I'm a Christian. No, that's not an answer. We're going to want to answer that question. Why are you a Christian? What makes the Christian faith want you to be a part of it? What are the truth bases for the Christian faith? We're going to cover that here. So that first question we're going to go tackle is why? Why are you a Christian? The second part is going to be why I should trust the Bible, because the Bible is the background for our Christian faith. It is the authority that we go by, and we should understand why we trust it, why it is our source. I will tell you right now, I steal a lot of stuff from Vodi Bakum right here on this subject, because he has, as far as I'm concerned, the best stuff on this. And I'll post his when we do this subject, I'll post his hour-long talk on this. But I'm basically reducing that to a half-hour talk, hitting his subjects. But it's critical. It's very critical on why I should trust the Bible, because I can't be a Christian and not trust the Bible. That they go hand in hand. And if you'll see, we're kind of building up here. So the next one is what a biblical Christian is. So we're going to build off that foundation of why I trust the Bible to discuss exactly what then that means. So what does it mean to have a foundation on biblical principles? What is a biblical Christian? Because there are differences. There are groups that don't have the Bible as their authority, and they're not biblically based. So we're going to make some key distinctions. We're going to have some understanding on what it actually means to be biblically based as a Christian. Then we're going to move on to actually, what does it mean to be saved? What does your salvation entail? What actually happens upon your salvation? What should you be feeling in your life? What are the things that are going about? Are you still that same person? Have you changed? Do you see a change? What are the things that are happening in your life that shows that you've been saved? We're going to look through the scriptures. We're going to tackle each one of those points so that we know where we are in our salvation, where we are, because salvation, while it happens instantly, there's still a process that's going on that builds us in our Christian faith. Next, then we're going to hit the big doctrinal issue, which is, what is the Trinity? I had one pastor tell me, "Are you crazy to do this?" I mean, it's a pastor. It's a guy with a doctorate. And he has a doctorate in theology. He went to Southeastern Theological Seminary, and he's telling me, you're messing with the Trinity? I'm like, well, dude, you got a doctorate. I mean, yeah, we're going to hit this because it's foundational to the faith. God exists in a certain manner. The scriptures say this is how God exists. So, as Paul Washer said, how can you worship a God you don't know? If you don't know that God exists in three persons in one essence, then how can you worship him properly? This is critical for you to understand as a Christian. So what is the Trinity? How does God manifest himself to us? And so that you understand, because God is, let's just say, he's a complex guy, and we need to understand him. Then the last thing is going to be actual systematic theology, because, well, it's kind of one, it's interesting, but it also kind of gives you a background to build on. We're not arguing about which one of these is right, which one of these is wrong, but we're basically going to say to you, hey, here are the three basic Protestant systematics, and we'll explain what systematic is, but the three theologies that most Protestant churches follow on a daily basis. And they fall into one of these three categories. Like I said, not going to argue points in this. We're just going to give you basic information and basic background so that you'll have a good understanding of where each of these are coming from. And I take the information straight from the experts in their fields. I do not, try to pit each one against the other. And then you get to hear the guy with the lawnmower next door. It's awesome. So the other thing we're also going to do is we're going to look at theology and doctrine within the culture, because they don't exist without each other. Culture influences how we look at our theology and how we look at our doctrine. Our theology and doctrine do not change because of the culture, even though the culture would like us to change both of them to fit it. But we actually should change the culture to fit our theology and our doctrine. So how should Christians respond to the culture? We're going to talk about those things. We're going to look at key things that are happening today and how that makes us want to look at our theology and our doctrine in order to give it a proper framework and give you the ability to answer those questions. There are a lot of questions out there today that are culturally based, that are affecting the Christian church, that are affecting Christians and how they believe and how they walk and how they work. So we want to be able to answer those questions and to give you a proper framework. This is so we can interact with others, because here again, what did Jesus tell us to do? Go, be witnesses, go to out the world, preaching the gospel, right? Baptizing the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things. Well, if I'm teaching them to observe all things, I have to understand how all things are interacting with the culture. So we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to interact with non-believers. Tons of people out there don't believe. More and more people do not believe that there's a God, do not believe that Jesus existed, do not have any foundation whatsoever. And that's a large group of people that we're going to interact with daily. We're going to interact with basically what I call the three cults: Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, and Muslims. Those folks we're seeing more and more every day, even though the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons are struggling these days because of the culture. They're having a hard time adjusting their theology to how the culture, because they're not firmly based. But we're going to talk about how we interact with them. What is their theology? How does their theology interact with ours? And give you the difference so that you can understand when someone says this, that you can have the proper witness to them, because they are what I call manipulators. They manipulate scripture, try to change it to fit their theology. And then we're going to talk about how we interact with Roman Catholics. There are some distinct differences between biblical Christianity and Roman Catholicism, and we need to put those on the cards on the table and explain exactly what are the key differences in those. It's critical. These are some critical issues because there are some serious distinct differences between them and between Eastern Orthodox, which is basically Catholicism's kissing cousin from the Eastern side, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. Eastern Orthodox is making a big move back in America. So It's something we need to understand and be able to interact with. That's a good word. That's not a word. Don't say that. So last thing is of course, we want to hear from you. So if you've got questions or comments, of course, you can leave those in the comment section, or you can email me to request we cover something you would like some more information on. So you see my email address right there. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read. You can read. I know you can. So like I said, this is kind of like our intro video here. Hope to, the other thing, you guys, if let me know what day works best. You know, I'm between Tuesdays and Thursdays unloading, and I plan to do some like live Zoom, have some folks on, maybe a couple friends, and do some interaction. So we'll see. We gotta get through these first couple 6 weeks first, and then we'll open it up. So anyway, like I said, if you have any comments or questions, or just want to email me something, just let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. And Lord, this is going to be fun. Really looking forward to it. So God bless you guys. Have a great day.